Namaste, friends. I'm Heather Wiest with Love Serve Inspire. And today I'll be guiding you through Aspire to Arm Balance, all levels slow flow. For today's practice, we'll be using a yoga strap, 2 blocks, and a blanket or towel. If you don't have blocks or a strap, the towel could be used for the strap, and a couple of thick blocks will work for the blocks. I'm here to guide you, but you are always your best teacher. So please, listen to your body, stay safe, and have fun. We'll begin today's practice lying on our backs, and make sure you have your strap or your large towel nearby. Go ahead and take your time, come down onto the back. Maybe you take a full body stretch. And we're gonna go ahead and place a bend into the knees. And from here, you're gonna find the loop of a strap or just the towel will come on the ball of the right foot. We're gonna extend the right leg to the sky, and just making sure the arms can rest comfortably on the mat. Now you're gonna notice how this feels on the lower back, and if things are going well, we're gonna extend that left leg long on the mat. So you have a flex into both feet, and you're pressing both tops of the thighs towards their hamstrings. I'm gonna have you take your right thumb and just push it into the top of that right thigh and hip crease, and just go ahead and give it a nice pull down. So we want to create that space between the pelvis and the thigh. You can always keep a bend into that right knee, but keep pushing the thigh towards the hamstring. So opening up here in Supta Padangusthasana 1, opening up through the hamstrings. And as we hold here, we'll just tune into the breath. So finding your full inhalation and exhalation, in and out through the nose, finding that samavriti breath, that equal part breath. Tuning in to how the body's showing up today, the mind and the spirit. As we continue with the breath, we're going to go ahead and take the second variation of Supta Padangusthasana. So we're going to externally rotate at the very top of that right thigh. So you're going to angle that right foot out towards the right corner, and then you're just going to take that leg halfway over to the right. I'm going to take my left hand to that hip and thigh crease, just making sure that I'm keeping my pelvis nice and neutral. I'm protecting my lower back this way. So again, I'm not taking the full variation, just going about halfway to the right. A few more breaths here. Transitioning into our Ujjayi Pranayama, that victorious breath. Allow that slight audible sound at the back of the throat. It may feel or sound like that ocean wave coming in and out of shore. One more full breath in this variation. Then we're going to inhale the right leg back up to center, and we're going to take it halfway over to the left. So you're going to find that nice stretch for your IT band that runs from the knee all the way to around the glute a little bit here. So you're going to feel a nice stretch in that outer right thigh. So finding that nice spot for you. Continuing with your Ujjayi Pranayama, the smooth and steady breaths. Observation and awareness are the first steps toward change. Observation and awareness are the first steps toward change. We're going to go ahead and inhale that right leg back up to center. We're going to place a bend into the right knee and release the right leg to the mat. Maybe you hug both knees in or take a full body stretch. We're going to do that all on that left leg. We'll plant both feet down onto the mat. We'll extend the left leg to the sky. You're going to go ahead and take the towel or the strap around the ball of the left foot. Each side is different. Honor your body. Beginning to extend the left leg all the way to the sky, pressing the top of the thigh towards the hamstring. If things are going well with the lower back, feel free to extend that right leg long, a nice flex into that foot as well. Taking that left thumb crease into the top of that left thigh, just giving that nice little pull down, creating a little more space between the pelvis and the thigh. So as we learn to be that silent, compassionate witness on the outside, observing in, we're able to observe and we're able to be aware of our own thoughts, feelings, actions towards ourselves and others, and can really make some changes that we would like to see happen in our own personal life. This concept in yoga is called svadhyaya, self-observation or study, just with that compassionate outside witness looking in, just noticing how we're acting, again, how we're thinking and feeling, and just really making those adjustments that we want to make. And we're going to go ahead and externally rotate at the very top of that left thigh, taking that leg out to the left about halfway, again rooting that right thumb into the thigh and hip, just making sure you're stabilizing through the pelvis and the low back. So just being the best version of ourselves, being compassionate with ourselves and also with those around us in our outside world, how we relate with ourselves, others, and creation. And we'll inhale the left leg back to center and take it halfway over to the right. So setting a personal intention resolved around this idea of honestly looking at ourselves, maybe if there's some changes that we would like to make, and just compassionately inviting those in. This practice of yoga helps us to pay attention to body, mind, and spirit. Helps us to observe and be aware. Two more full deep breaths here. And we're going to inhale the left leg center. We're going to release the strap or the towel and just bringing it off to the side, hugging both knees into the chest, rocking side to side, massaging the low back. Feel free to transition onto the side to come on up, or just go ahead and grab behind the hamstrings and rock on up to seated. Nice job. Feel a little more open in those hamstrings now. You're going to find a comfortable seat. We're going to work another breath technique called Kapalabhati breath. It's a breath where we inhale through the nose and then we exhale quickly out through the nose. It's a great breath technique just to build a little bit of internal heat, that heat of transformation. It helps to bring attention to the pelvic floor and the abdomen, and also tones the diaphragm and strengthens the diaphragm. So if you have a untreated high blood pressure or are pregnant, you're not going to want to practice this breath technique, or if it doesn't feel right for you, you're just going to continue with the smooth, steady inhalations and exhalations. So again, Kapalabhati breath, skull shining breath. We're going to go ahead and take, or breath of fire, it's also called. We'll bring the hands to the lower belly. So I'm going to demonstrate one round, and then we're going to do 2 rounds together. And again, I'm going to guide a gentle variation of this breath. So we're going to be taking a nice deep inhale and then exhaling 10 short breaths out through the nose. So it'll look like this or sound like this. Take a nice deep inhale. And then a recovery breath. So I like placing the hands at the low belly because then I can feel my abdominals working in this, and I feel the attention drawn toward that pelvic floor. So we're going to do 2 rounds together. So take a nice deep inhale. Exhale through the nose. And a recovery breath. One more full round. Nice deep inhale. And a recovery breath. Releasing the palms and just noticing a little more energy into the head, a little more heat in the body. We're going to transition from here into hands and knees. So we're going to go ahead and come on to our hands and knees, spreading the fingers wide. You want to make sure the shoulders are over the wrist and the hips are over the knees. We're going to go ahead and inhale, bringing the head and the heart forward into our cow shape. And then as we exhale, rounding through the upper back, drawing the navel to spine into our cat. Continuing with this action here, opening up through the spine, creating space and length, linking our breath with our movement. One more full round of our classical cow and cat. And then you're going to come to neutral, and then we're just going to isolate the pelvic tilt in our cat and cow. So just focus on the lower body, keeping the upper body neutral, just bringing a little more attention to that pelvic floor, how it helps us through so many of our yoga postures. Finding that movement into the pelvis, that posterior and anterior tilt. One more full round here. And then returning to our neutral. We're going to take some wrist stretches to open up through the wrists. We're going to take the right fingertips towards the right knee. You're going to ground the wrist down to comfort. And for me, this is enough. I really don't need to do anything else. Some people do enjoy just tilting back a little bit with the seat to get a little more opening into the forearms. So again, your preference here, just a gentle opening into the wrist and the forearm area. One more full breath. And then we'll bring the right hand back, left hand now. So the fingertips facing towards the left knee, grounding the wrist down to comfort, the palm on the mat. Again, feel free to tilt back if you like that. Gentle opening through the wrists. And then we'll bring the left fingertips back. Now we're going to bring the back of the right hand down onto the mat, fingertips towards the right knee. A little bit of a deeper stretch here. Again, I'm going to stay neutral. I don't need to tilt back, but I'm going to go ahead and take some thumb circles, 3 rounds in one direction and then taking the opposite direction. I find I get a little more opening into the inner forearm and wrist with this action. And then I'll go ahead and bring the right hand back. The back of the left hand towards the left knee. Again, I'm going to stay here and then I'm going to take those thumb circles, 3 rounds in one direction, and then take the opposite direction. And then bringing the left hand back. To open up through the mid-back and shoulders, we're going to take shoulder thread the needle. I'm going to inhale the left arm out to the side. As I exhale, I'm going to take that left arm through the right, and I'm going to take my left cheek, ear, temple to the mat. And then I'm going to take that right arm out forward. I really enjoy the right arm extended out. Some people like taking it behind the back. So that is an option if you want to take it behind the back, wrapping around the waist. We're going to do 2 more full breaths here, really relaxing through that right shoulder, opening it up through both shoulders and the thoracic spine, the upper back. One more breath. We're going to go ahead and bring that right hand back under the shoulder. As we inhale, we'll bring the body back up. We'll take that to the other side. So the right arm will come out to the side on the inhale. As you exhale, you'll thread it through the left. And again, the right cheek, ear, temple coming to the mat. You can take that left arm more forward, or you can wrap it behind the back, your preference. A few more breaths here, just softening into the shoulder opening. Staying breath connected throughout your practice, allowing yourself to really observe your body, observe the mind, observe the spirit, becoming more aware. We're going to gently bring that left palm back, inhaling all the way up. Nice work. Let's stretch the legs a little. We're going to take the right toes back on the mat, get a nice opening through the foot, the Achilles, through the calf. Then the frontal hip points lift here. Begin to tone and engage that lower belly. You'll feel a little more opening into the hip flexor of the right leg. I'm going to go ahead and take my right leg, cross it over the left, and I'm going to look over the left shoulder, pushing more into the right palm, just getting a beautiful opening into the right side of the body. And then I'll inhale back to center, grounding the right knee to the mat. Other side, taking the left toes back, pushing away with the hands, get a nice opening for the foot, the Achilles, and the calf on the left side. And then frontal hip points lift. Feel a little more opening into the top of that left thigh. Relax through the head, neck, and jaw. And then we'll cross over, looking over the right shoulder this time and pushing more into the left palm. Feel a nice stretch all along the left side of the body. And then we'll go ahead and take the left leg back to center, grounding the knee down. Preparing for downward facing dog. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my hands a little more forward. I'm going to tuck the toes under. As I exhale, the hips are going to come up and back. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Pushing the hands down and away. And then the tops of my thighs are drawing back and up. And then lastly, really stabilizing through the torso, drawing those front lower ribs in. We're finding a little bit more by turning on those upper outer arms, create a little more space. Beautiful job. We're going to bend into the left knee, grounding the right heel down to comfort. So opening up into that right leg. Relax again through the head. The head rests gently just between your bicep muscles. And then we're going to switch. We're going to ground the left heel to the mat and bend into the right knee. And just a nice static hold. Feel the nice opening into that left leg. And grounding both heels down. Just feeling the palms drawing down and away. Tops of the thighs drawing back. So you're getting a nice elongation through the spine. We're going to bend into both knees a lot, and then you're going to look forward and shift into plank pose. Just know you can always drop to the knees at any time. And then we're going to exhale, downward facing dog. So again, bend into the knees a lot, gaze forward. We'll inhale into plank, and then exhale, downward facing dog. One more time like that. So we're going to bend into the knees, gaze forward between the hands, shift to plank, and now hold. So again, feel free to drop to the knees at any time. So push your hands firmly into the mat. Shoulder heads are drawing back. You're broadening through the collarbones. And then engage that lower belly. Those front ribs hug in. Feel that long line of energy, crown of the head through the heels. Couple more breaths, building strength as we push against the earth and feel the back body lifting to the sky. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Nice job. We're going to elephant walk to our hands. So that means we're going to try to walk on the heels. It really gets a nice opening into the backs of the legs. Take your time coming towards the top of the mat. We're going to go ahead now and take that right foot and cross it over the left. You're either going to take the hands to the outsides of the legs here, or you can reach down onto the mat and let the head and neck go once you find a nice stretch. So you should feel it into that left leg. I feel it on the outside of the left leg. Let the head and neck go. Then you're going to walk the hands back to center. You're going to uncross and take the left foot and cross it over the right. So the pinky toes are kind of close together. So again, the hands can come higher onto the legs if it's hard to come down. If you can, you're going to take the fingertips towards the left corner of the mat, letting the head and neck go. So I'm going to feel the opening into that right leg. And then we'll walk the hands back to center, uncross, a generous bend into the knees, hands to the hips. On the next inhale, you're going to come all the way up. Nice job. For our half sun salutations today, we're going to stand on our blocks to open up through the hamstrings. So you're going to grab your blocks or thick books, bring them to the mat at whatever stance you're comfortably stand in your mountain pose. So I'm going to come onto the blocks. I'm going to center my feet onto them or your books. And then finding mountain pose, Tittibhasana. Nice, powerful stance here. The shoulders are drawing back and down, that tailbone lengthens down, and you're finding a point of focus in front of you. We're going to inhale the arms up and overhead. As you exhale, I want you to take the thumbs into the thigh and hip crease as you forward fold. Push the thighs back towards their hamstrings. Feel the space. And then inhaling for the half lift, hands come to the outsides of the shins so you don't hyperextend. And then exhale, forward fold, hands reach down towards the mat. You're going to root through the feet, sweep the arms all the way up and overhead. And then exhale, hands draw to heart center, and those front ribs are going to knit together. 2 more rounds just like that. Inhaling the arms up. Exhale, bring the thumbs into the hip and thigh crease, pressing the tops of the thighs back as you forward fold. Inhaling for your half lift, hands to the outsides of the shins, flat back. And then exhale, fold. Root to the feet, strong arms lift you up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. 1 more full round. Inhaling the arms up. Exhale, taking the hands to the tops of the thighs. Just a great way to really feel that space we're trying to create in the pelvis and thigh. Inhaling, half lift, hands to the outsides of the shins, expand through the collarbones. And then exhale, fold in. Root through the feet, sweep the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Again, those front ribs knit together. Good job. We're going to gently come off of the blocks. You're going to keep your blocks towards the top of the mat. We're going to come into 2 classic rounds of Sun Salutation A. If you have any modifications you'd like to take or any other variations, feel free to take those. Finding Tadasana, mountain pose. We'll inhale the arms up and overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Lead with that heart again. Push the thighs back. Inhaling, half lift, quadriceps turn on. Exhale, plant the palms, bend the knees. We'll take that right leg back. Followed by the left. You're in plank pose. We're going to exhale through chaturanga all the way to the mat for the first round. Inhaling, pressing through the tops of the feet. Kneecaps lift, elbows hug in, low cobra. Exhale, back down. Tuck the toes under, lift through your half or full plank. Tops of the thighs draw you back, downward facing dog. We're going to bring that left foot up between the hands, followed by the right. Inhale, half lift, quads turn on. Exhale, forward fold. Keep that space between the pelvis and thighs. Root through the feet, sweep the arms all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Second side. Inhaling up, Urdhva Hasta in Tadasana. Exhale, forward fold. Lead with that heart. Uttanasana. Inhaling, half lift. Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, bend the knees, plant the palms, left leg back this time. Followed by the right, you're in plank pose. Exhale through Chaturanga. You can either come all the way to the mat for low cobra or take upward facing dog. Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Transitioning through plank, if you are in low cobra, we'll all meet in downward facing dog. We're all going to stay here in Adho Mukha Svanasana, pressing the palms away. Tops of the thighs are drawing back, and then those front ribs hug in. We're going to float that right leg up and back, three-legged downward facing dog with a neutral hip. As you exhale, that knee is going to come in towards the nose. You're finding a plank pose. And then you'll inhale all the way back. We'll exhale, knee in towards that right elbow. And then inhale back. One more time, knee in towards the nose. Hold, dome through the upper back. And then we're going to plant that right foot between the hands. If you have blocks, we're going to bring them on the edges of the feet. We're going to take a dynamic stretch here. So you're going to bend into the knee and then straighten through that right leg. Maybe you flex through the feet. We're going to do this 5 more times. Opening up through the inner thighs, the hamstrings, and the outer hips. Let it feel good. A little dynamic stretching. 3 more full rounds. You may or may not need the blocks, and the blocks have several levels, so feel free to adjust for your liking. Finding low lunge, we'll go ahead and bring the blocks off to the side, coming back into our 3-legged downward facing dog, and then downward facing dog. Inhaling into plank pose. Exhale through Chaturanga. Inhale, low cobra, upward facing dog. Transitioning through plank. If you're in that low cobra, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Another full inhale here. And exhale. We're going to float the left leg up and back. 3-legged downward facing dog. A neutral hip, a nice flex into those left toes. As you exhale, that knee is going to come in towards the nose, engaging the core. Inhale back. We'll take that left knee to left elbow. Inhale back. One more time, knee in towards the nose, really dome through the back. And then place that left foot between the hands, grabbing those blocks for our dynamic stretch. So you got to bend into that left knee and then straighten through the leg, a nice flex into the left foot. 4 more rounds here, 4 or 5, whatever feels best for your body. Nice dynamic between opening up. Good. Noticing and being aware of what feels good in your body. Last round. And then staying with low lunge. Blocks off to the side. We'll come back to that 3-legged downward facing dog. And then downward facing dog. We're going to inhale into plank pose. Drop to the knees if you need to. Exhale through Chaturanga. Inhaling low cobra or upward facing dog. Strong legs. Transitioning through plank if you need to. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. Another complete inhale. And exhale. We're going to bend into the knees. We're going to gaze forward. You're going to step or float to the top of the mat. Inhaling, half lift, quads turn on. And then exhale, fold. Root through the feet, sweep the arms all the way up and overhead. Exhale, hands to heart. Those front ribs hug in. Good work, everybody. Continuing here in Tittibhasana. Let's just close the eyes for a moment. Returning to your intention. Envisioning that compassionate, silent witness that's looking in on you. Having that mindset of, what am I going to learn about myself today? What changes do I want to make? What do I enjoy about myself? Svadhyaya, that self-observation, that self-awareness. One more full breath here. I'm going to softly open the eyes. We're going to come into Utkatasana, fierce pose. So some people like to bring the fingertips all the way to the feet and then come on up. We're going to do one round of Kapalabhati breath here. So it's always optional. I'm going to take a nice deep inhale. And then a recovery breath. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plant the hands. We're going to take the right leg back. We're going to seal the right foot down about a 45-degree angle. Put a nice bend into that left knee, preparing for Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. Inhaling the arms slowly up and overhead. So ideally, the hip points want to come forward. That doesn't work very well in a lot of bodies. So always feel free to angle a little bit in towards the right side of the body, whatever feels best for you. We're rooted through both feet, lifting up through the arms nice and strong. And just envisioning that pelvic tilt here that we were working with the cat and cow. So just lengthening through the tailbone a little bit more, letting the frontal hip points lift, finding more room and space into that right hip flexor. Feeling strong and solid in your Warrior 1. That left thigh draws back and in. Right thigh pushes back. One more full breath. Then we're going to open up into a wide forward fold on the right side. I'm going to bring my feet straight out. I'm going to bring my hands to the hips, Prasarita Padottanasana A. So we're going to take a nice deep inhale. I'm going to lead with that heart, and I'm going to come on down with my fingertips to the mat. And then let the head and neck go. Look straight through your legs, adjusting your stance as it's best for you. You can keep the fingertips here, or you can walk them back. Fingertips back towards the back wall. Really getting a nice opening into inner thighs and hamstrings. Let the head go even more. We're going to hold for 2 more full breaths. Bringing the weight more into the balls of the feet. You're going to walk the hands back to where they're underneath your shoulders. Then we'll go ahead and inhale, hands to hips, and then all the way back up. We're going to take Warrior 2 facing the back of the mat. So the right foot is going to come, you're going to place a nice bend into that right knee, and the back foot again angled at what's comfortable for your back knee. Once you have that, the arms will come out. You're going to gaze over that front middle finger. Right thigh is drawing down and under. You have strong legs here. Imagine the heels scrubbing together. Feel the inner thighs and that pelvic floor engaging. Tailbone lengthens down. Those shoulder heads draw back just a little bit. Getting some nice opening through the chest and shoulders. Focusing for a few more breaths in our Warrior 2. Such a strong pose. Feel grounded and rooted in Virabhadrasana 2. One more breath here. We're going to flip that front palm and we're going to lightly touch the back leg for reverse warrior two. Viparita Virabhadrasana, some people like to call it peaceful warrior. So you want to keep that bend into the front knee. Right thigh is drawing down and under. Arm is strong to the sky. One more full breath. We'll inhale back to center. We're going to take Astavakrasana, side angle pose. So you can lightly rest on that thigh, left arm to the sky, or you can go ahead and bring that right hand into the inside of the right foot. We're going to work into our full bind today if that is in your practice. Feel free to have a strap nearby too if you'd like. So I'm going to go ahead and take the left hand behind the back, and you can stay here just drawing that left shoulder head back. If you want to take the full bind, the right arm comes underneath the thigh, reaching for that left wrist and finding some nice length through the torso. Again, left shoulder head drawing back. Two more deep full breaths. Keep a nice bend into that front knee. Now, if you have the bind, I'm going to encourage you to keep it for Trikonasana. If you don't have the bind, release and come into triangle pose, bringing that hand onto the shin or the inside or outside of the foot or ankle. You can always use a block. One more full breath. Now we're going to bend into that front knee, returning to Virabhadrasana 2. Another breath of focus. Refining your pose, noticing where you need to engage and where you need to soften. That observation and awareness. We're going to cartwheel the hands to the mat. The right leg will come back to plank pose. We're going to work through our Ardha Vinyasa. So exhale through Chaturanga. Inhale, low cobra, upward facing dog. Strong legs. Transitioning through plank if you need to. We'll all meet in downward facing dog. Full, complete inhale and exhale. From here, we're going to float the right leg up and back. Three-legged downward facing dog, hugging in with that left thigh and hip. We're going to go ahead and take that right foot up between the hands. We're going to seal the left or back foot down. Keep a bend into the front knee, preparing for warrior one. Inhaling the arms all the way up. So finding warrior one for your body. If it doesn't feel good to have those hip points pointing forward, feel free to angle to the left a little bit. Find your variation of the pose that feels best in your body. Generous bend into the front knee. That right thigh is drawing down and back, and that back thigh is pushing back. Feel a nice opening in so many areas. And then that pelvic tilt. Tailbone lengthens down, frontal hip points lift. Finding a point of focus, strong arms. One more full breath. Now we're going to open up into that forward fold again. We're going to take Prasarita Padottanasana C. So again, the toes are pointing straight forward. I'm going to interlace the hands behind the back. We're going to take a nice deep inhale. Lead with the heart, shoulder heads draw back as you come all the way down. You're welcome to keep the hands at the lower back or draw them away from the back into the air towards the ceiling or sky, and then let the crown of the head drop down towards the mat. Release the back of the neck and then draw the shoulders away from the ears, creating space in the sides of the neck. Feel the opening into the hamstrings and the inner thighs. 3 more deep full breaths. Root it into the feet. We're going to go ahead and inhale all the way back up. And then find warrior two towards the top of the mat. The left foot will come out straight. You want to keep that knee tracking over the ankle and the second toe. Back leg seals down to comfort for that back knee. Really strong legs. The arms will come out. Super strong pose, creating space between the thigh and the pelvis. The inner thighs are scrubbing together, turning on the adductors, the inner thighs, and the pelvic floor. Tailbone lengthens down. Nice point of focus. Shoulder heads are drawing back. Strong warrior two. Firmly rooted and grounded through both feet. One more full breath. We're going to flip that front palm, taking our reverse warrior. Keep with the bend into that front knee. So easy to straighten. Just keep it nice and bent. Work those thighs. Left arm to the sky, lightly touching that back leg. Viparita Virabhadrasana, peaceful warrior. Keep that nice space between the pelvis and thigh of that left leg. Inhaling back up into Parsvakonasana, side angle pose. Keep the bend into the front knee. Right arm to the sky. You're welcome to stay here. You can bring that hand down to the inner left foot. We're going to go ahead and work that half or full bind. So the right arm comes behind the back. If you want to take the full bind, the left hand comes under, reaching for the right hand or wrist. Really opening up through chest and shoulders. Keep a generous bend into the front knee. Rolling that right shoulder head back. Couple more strong full breaths. A lot of effort in this posture. If you have the full bind, transitioning through Trikonasana with the bind, feel free to just transition with that left hand on the shin or the inner or outer ankle or foot. One more full breath. Bending into the left knee, returning back to Virabhadrasana 2. Strong and focused. Again, noticing what needs to turn on and then what needs to soften. We'll cartwheel the hands to the mat. Left leg will come back for plank pose. Exhale through Chaturanga. Inhale, low cobra, upward facing dog, strong legs. Transitioning through plank if you need to. We'll meet in downward facing dog. Another full deep breath as you push the hands down and away. As you exhale, tops of the thighs draw back and up. Front ribs are hugging in, stabilizing through the torso. Another full breath. Feel downward facing dog. We're going to bend into the knees. We're going to gaze forward. You're going to step or float to the top of the mat. Inhaling for your half lift. Exhale, fold. Inhaling, Utkatasana, fierce pose. One more full breath. Inhaling the arms up. Exhale, the hands down to heart center. Great job, everyone. Perfect. We're going to begin to come into our arm balance sequence here. We're going to be working several arm balances. If you don't arm balance, no worries. I'm going to give you lots of options. So we're going to go ahead. Before we do that, we're going to take a nice forward fold. So I want you to find a blanket or your towel and make a very small roll in it. And you're going to tuck it in to that hip and thigh crease. You're going to take your feet a little bit wider than hip width distance. You're going to hold on to that blanket or towel and you're going to really fold over it, creating that space. Find a comfortable spot for you. And then allow the arms to dangle, or you can clasp opposite elbows here. Holding for 5 full breaths. Getting an additional opening into the hamstrings. You can bend the knees as much as you need. And then feeling the comfort of that space between the thigh and the pelvis, supported by a blanket or towel. 2 more deep full breaths. Let the back of the head go. Let the back of the neck go. Relax your jaw. One more complete full breath. You're going to go ahead and release the hands back up to the blanket. A little bend into the knees. Flat back will bring you up. Notice how good that feels. All right, we're going to move into Malasana squat. Feel free to have that blanket or towel nearby if you like it underneath the heels. Be straightforward or out to the side, whatever works best with your thighs and hips. So we're going to come down into a squat. If squatting's not good for you, feel free to sit on the blocks or even a chair. All right, so our first arm balance that we'll be coming into is Kakasana, crow, or Bakasana, crane with straight arms. So if you're not going to come into arm balancing, you can stay with the Malasana squat. It's a nice release for the lower back. And if you need to come out, feel free to do so. So coming into this arm balance, you can even use the blocks underneath the feet. Sometimes that helps people feel a little lift in the pose. I'm not going to demonstrate that version today, but having the blocks under the feet gets you a little bit higher of a start to be able to begin to feel this arm balance. So both hands come down. Most people, I find, like to have the knees into the back of the triceps or the armpit areas. There are people that really like to hug the legs around the triceps. So again, find what works for your body. I like to start with my glutes up in the air. I'm going to bring my knees into the back of the triceps in the armpit area. And then I'm going to just shift forward. I'm going to keep the gaze forward instead of down. You always want to look forward so you don't fall down. And then you work with taking one foot off of the mat. And if you can balance, you take both feet off the mat. Big toes touch. And then you find that pelvic engagement, navel to spine. And then if you can, you straighten a little bit through the arms. Mine stay bent. So hold as long as you'd like. And then we'll all bring ourselves down. Good job. Whatever you did, we get a bone strengthening effect of really having these arm balances in our practice. So another great way to weight bear, besides using weights at the gym, just a great strengthening for our bones. We're going to come down onto our seat next. You may want to have a strap nearby. We're going to come into Mariachi Asana 1. So I'm going to go ahead and straighten through my right leg, and I have a bend into the left knee. So this is a nice wrap for the arms, just to open up through the arms, preparing us for our next set of arm balance. So I'm going to go ahead and take my left arm in front of my left shin and guide it towards the back of me here, towards my glute or hip. Then the right hand is going to try to reach for that wrist of the left hand. If that's not possible, a lot of it depends on the length of your arms. So feel free to use a strap into both hands. So we're just finding a forward fold here in that bind with the arms opening up through the shoulders. So a couple more breaths here. Nice flex into that front foot. One more full breath. Then we're going to go ahead and release the bind behind us and come back up. We're going to take that to the other side. So we're going to straighten through the left leg. The right knee will be bent this time. So I really want to sit up onto my sit bones so I can kind of lean forward to find that wrap. So the right arm's going to come in front of the right shin, reaching back towards my glute or hip. And then I'm going to take my left hand behind and try to reach for that right wrist or hand. A flex into the left foot. Again, use that strap. It does help you feel the pose if you need to between the hands. Take a nice deep inhale, pitching forward. So it's kind of an odd posture, I find. My right glute comes off of the mat, which doesn't seem right, but it's okay. And I'm getting just more of an opening through the bind here, a little bit more into the lower back and the hamstring of the left leg. One more full breath. And we're gonna go ahead and inhale back up. All right, so we're gonna have a little fun. It's really fun to try new poses if you haven't tried them. It never matters where you go with the poses. It's the journey of just trying and having fun with yourself and observing yourself. So I'm gonna take my blocks on the sides of my hips to start. There's gonna be lots of options even if you don't wanna come into the arm balance. So we're gonna start with archer's pose. I'm gonna place the bend into my right leg and I'm gonna take the right hand on the outside of the right foot. And then that knee comes back towards my armpit. So this is archer's pose and you're welcome to stay here. I'm gonna be coming into elephant trunk pose, working into 8-angle pose, Astavakrasana. So again, if that's not in your practice, you don't wanna try, you're welcome to stay here first in this pose and then take Ardha Gomukhasana for a stretch after that. You can just bend into the knee and pitch forward. So always options. Okay, if you want to try into elephant trunk pose, you have the blocks. It just helps you get a little bit of a lift here. So this is the archers where we've been holding. So my next step is to try to get this right leg over my shoulder. Sometimes it's more on the outer arm, which is fine. And then I'm gonna reach my hands onto my blocks. The next step, you wanna keep a flex into the feet, keep the legs engaged. Next step is to lift the butt off of the mat. So that's second step. Third step for elephant trunk pose is to lift that left foot off of the mat. So this is elephant trunk, a lot of engagement here. If you have that, I'm gonna go ahead and cross at the feet and come into 8-angle pose. So once you have the cross of the feet, you find the chaturanga arms and you take the legs off to the right. You can gaze to the right or forward, just a fun little pose. And then you return back to elephant trunk and down. A lot of work there. So again, a lot of weight bearing on my muscles and my joints and bones. Good for my body. If you need to shake out your wrists, feel free to do that. So we're gonna take this on the other side. So we're gonna start with that archer's pose, a bend into the left knee. Take the hand on the outside of the left foot. So you're welcome to stay here. A nice opening, and then you can come into Ardha Gomukhasana for a nice forward fold and a hip opener. So again, options always. So from archer's pose, we're gonna come into the stages of elephant trunk pose. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that left foot and leg over the left shoulder. Left glute is off the mat, that's okay. So I wanna hug everything into midline. That's gonna help. Hands to blocks. Then the glutes come off the mat. Stage 2. Stage 3, lift the right foot off the mat. Elephant trunk, here we are. If you have that, you're gonna cross the feet and then go ahead and find that 8-angle pose, Astavakrasana, bending into the arms, straightening through the legs. Gaze can be at the feet or straight forward. Kind of fun. One more full breath. And then returning back to elephant trunk and down. Let's take a beach pose, everybody. Take a break. Come on down. Onto the forearms. Relax the shoulders. Relax the wrist. You can wiggle waggle the feet back and forth. Just a nice posture. So good job for maybe trying something new or just watching and observing. Yeah, good job. All right. A couple more breaths here. Maybe you draw the head back if that feels good for your body. And then we're going to transition to standing. So however that is best for you, feel free to just come up to standing. We're going to take a nice forward fold to help release the wrists. So we're going to take Tittibhasana. So I'm going to place a generous bend into my knees. I'm going to go ahead and take my hands underneath my feet. So my toes are resting into the hip creases. I'm going to take a nice deep inhale, and as I exhale and forward fold, my elbows are going to bend, engaging my biceps here as I come down, finding that nice forward fold, massaging my toes into my wrists, Again, you're in total control of how deep you take this. You can always bend the knees a lot. 3 more deep, full rounds of breath. Crown of the head towards the mat. Release through the neck, relax the jaw. 1 more breath. Then we're gently going to come out of this. Take the hands from underneath the feet, a generous bend into the knees, hands to the hips, and then come on up. All right, one other arm balance to experiment with, or actually a couple. We're going to work into shoulder pressing pose and Firefly Tittibhasana. If you know you're not going to come into this, I'm going to encourage you to sit down and take a wide-legged forward fold, Uttanavishta Konasana. That is your option here. You're going to be working the same muscle groups that we're doing. If you want to play a little bit, we're going to start this pose from Tadasana, and we're going to use our blocks to create a little more space. So I'm going to go ahead and stand a little bit wider than hip width distance, and I'm going to bring my blocks behind my heels. So that's where we're going to begin. So we're going to work into shoulder pressing pose and then straightening out the legs into Firefly Tittibhasana. And then trying to take the legs back into Kakasana. Very challenging posture. So again, you can always sit down and just take the legs wide. You can watch and take a nice forward fold. So I'm going to go ahead and squat down. And again, feel free to take the legs wider if you need. I'm going to try to get my hands to the blocks and take my shoulders underneath my legs. So I'm going to build a shelf here by pasting a bend into my elbows. And then I'm just going to sit. Pretty much my hamstrings are on the backs of my arms. And then I'm just going to come up onto my toes here. I'm going to gaze forward and I'm going to hug my legs into my arms. From here, I'm going to try to lift my toes off and just cross at my toes. So you feel like kind of a teeter-totter here. You could teeter-totter. So I'm hugging my legs into my arms. You're welcome to stay here. This is really a fun posture, shoulder pressing pose. Or we're going to try to straighten through our legs. So the key here is rotating that inner thighs down towards your mat. So you're going to begin to uncross. You're going to straighten through the legs. And then inner thighs come down towards the mat. You can point or flex the feet, gaze forward. If you have that, you can try to bend into the legs, finding a variation of Kakasana Bakasana. And then coming back down. Good job. It's fun to play, and I love that I'm working the strength of my bones through these arm balances. All right, so we're all going to come down onto our seat. One more strengthening posture for everyone. We're going to work our core strength here through 2 rounds of Navasana, boat pose, into Lolasana. So lifting up a little bit. So everyone's going to be able to do this. Again, you're going to bring your blocks on both sides of the hips. We're going to start with a bend into the knees. You're just going to lift your shins off of the mat, your calves and shins. So you can stay here with your boat pose, or you can release the arms, or you can straighten through the legs even more and the arms. So holding a couple more full breaths, engaging that core and that pelvic floor. One more breath. Then the legs will come down. You're going to cross at the ankles. Hands come to the blocks. You're going to push into the blocks and lift your seat off of the mat. You're welcome to stay here or try to lift both feet off of the mat. Lolasana, hug the core in and come down. Good work. So good for engaging that pelvic floor and strengthening the abdominals. One more round. You've got this. Lifting the feet off the mat. Navasana boat pose. So you're welcome to engage the arms out, legs straight, nice tall spine, couple more breaths, feel those hip flexors turn on. And then we're going to cross the opposite ankle that you had before. I can't remember what I did. Hands to the blocks, lift the seat off the mat. You're welcome to stay here. Engage the lower belly. Or take both feet off the mat. Yay, we got this. And then come on down. Another challenge there would be straightening out the legs in your Lolasana. All right. Let's go ahead and take the soles of the feet together for Baddha Konasana. All right, let's do a cooling breath. We've done the skull shining breath of fire, kind of to build that heat. Let's go ahead and do Shatali, or some people call Shitali breath, a cooling breath. So this is where you learn whether you can make a taco tongue. So what's unique about this breath technique is that we inhale through the mouth and we exhale through the nose. So you're gonna see if you can make a taco tongue. Curl the tongue up. If you can't, you're just gonna keep a slight opening through the lips. Again, it's genetic, whether you can do that or not. And so if you have the taco tongue, go ahead and create that. You're gonna inhale through the mouth and exhale through the nose. Feel free to close your eyes here. Inhale through the lips, exhale through the nose. 3 more rounds. Inhaling through the lips, exhale through the nose. 2 more rounds. Inhaling through the lips, exhale through the nose. 1 more cooling breath. Open the eyes if you have them closed, just noticing the effects. Such a great technique to remember when you're a little bit overheated or you're in the middle of summer. We're going to extend the legs out long. We're going to take a yin style Paschimottanasana. So I'm going to go ahead and take my arms underneath my thighs. I'm going to bend into the knees. I'm going to just round my spine, coming into a nice forward fold. Just softening in. 5 full breaths. Observation and awareness are the first steps toward change. What do you want to change today about yourself? Yet also, what do you appreciate about yourself? Inviting in those intentions. We're gently going to come back up, releasing the hands out from the thighs. We're going to transition onto our back. Make sure you have a block or a book nearby. We're going to be taking 3 rounds of bridge pose. So we're going to come down onto our backs. We're going to take the block into the inner thighs of the legs, help to engage those adductors, the inner thighs, which helps engage our lower belly, which protects our lower back. So for today, I'm going to take robot arms for my bridge pose. So I'm just going to ground my triceps into the mat, my fingertips face towards the sky or the ceiling. Feet are about hip-width distance apart. And I'm going to inhale, lifting up my hips and pelvis, hugging into that block, lifting up onto the shoulder heads, space between chin and chest. Find your bridge for today. Hug into the block. Rooted through your feet. Tailbone lengthens towards the heels. And then slowly, vertebra by vertebra, coming on down. 2 more full rounds. When we work that core, we also want to work the spine, the counter muscle group. So inhaling, lifted up hips and pelvis, finding your bridge for today, rooted through the feet. Energetically, maybe those heels draw back towards your spine. Heels can also, or the outside edges of the feet can energetically draw towards the outside edges of the mat. Feel that help you engage into the block. 1 more full breath. And then exhale, vertebra by vertebra, coming all the way down. It's always important that you keep your gaze just straight to the ceiling or the sky so you don't hurt your neck in this pose. Last bridge pose. Rooted through the feet. Inhale, lift up hips, pelvis. Finding your deepest variation yet. Coming up onto the shoulder blades. Hug into the block, engage those inner thighs. One more full breath. Slowly, vertebra by vertebra, coming all the way down. Releasing the block from in between the inner thighs. We're going to go ahead and lift up the hips and pelvis and take the block underneath the lower back. Just resting in supported bridge pose here. You're welcome to stay with this gentle variation, or you can open up through the hip flexors by taking the heel forward, keeping it on the mat, and you can alternate that if that feels good for your body, or both at the same time if you have a healthy low back. And it's supported shoulder stand. I like to elevate my block for that, again, a personal preference. Taking gentle inversion mimics shoulder stand in a safe manner to where you're not adding that extra pressure onto the cervical spine and the neck. So finding where you want to be for the next minute, softening in, full deep breaths. Practicing that silent, compassionate witness that's looking from the outside. When you interact with others, when you interact with the world, just being a little more observant and aware, being sensitive, loving and compassionate with yourself and with others. Svadhyaya, that self-observation, that self-study that yoga helps us do through our practice on the mat. We can observe how our body feels, how our breath regulates. Three more full breaths wherever you're at. We're going to go ahead and bend into the knees, grounding the feet back down to the mat. If you have the block at a higher level, you're going to stair step down so you're not doing it all at once. And then we'll gently release the block from underneath the lower back. We're going to take figure 4 into a twist. So we're going to start with that left foot and ankle onto the right thigh. So this is classic figure 4 here. If you would like more, you can take the hands and thread them through the right leg, hugging onto the back of the hamstring. So finding your variation of figure 4, and then we'll be taking a twist towards the right in a few breaths. Opening up through that left outer hip. Feel the stretch. One more full breath here. Then we're going to go ahead, release the hands, if you have them behind the right leg, out to the side like a T. And then the first variation of the twist is just bringing that left foot to the mat and just finding a gentle figure 4 twist. If you want more, you can go ahead and wrap the legs around, bringing the knees down towards the right side. Again, 5 full breaths here. Feel free to keep the gaze straight towards the ceiling or over to the left side. Relaxing through the shoulders, the neck, and the jaw. Opening up through the spine and the outer hip. Two more full deep breaths. We're going to go ahead and return back to center, unwinding the legs. We'll take figure 4 on the other side. The right foot and ankle will come across the left thigh. You're welcome to stay here. You can even resist against the thighs here, creating some more space. Or you can take the arms, thread them through that left thigh, reaching around to the hamstrings. Nice flex into the feet, keeping the legs engaged, the knees protected. 5 full breaths. Feeling the stretch in that right outer hip. 1 more breath. You're going to gently release the hands from behind the left thigh. You can twist to the left by grounding that right foot down for a gentle variation. If you want to take the twisted roots, feel free to twist into there. You can gaze over the right shoulder, keep the gaze to the sky, opening up everywhere. Nice deep twist. Three more deep full breaths. Relaxing through your face and the jaw, the shoulders, neck. One more breath. And then we'll go ahead and return back to center. Feel free to take any closing postures here. I'm going to take a happy baby. So I'm going to take my knees into my chest and then the feet to the ceiling. I'm going to reach for the outside edges of my feet. I'm going to rock gently onto my lower back. If there's anything else you'd like to do before Shavasana, this is the time to take that. A few breaths here. And then for Shavasana, I'm going to encourage you, if you have blocks, to bring them underneath the calves. It's a nice way to elevate through the legs. If you have a blanket or towel, it's nice to have over the torso just for a little extra weight and grounding. So transitioning into Shavasana. Shavasana does not have to be on the back. You can always lie on your side. You can even lie on the belly. Anything that feels comfortable for you, to where you can completely let go and relax. So finding that for yourself here, making those last final adjustments, allowing the eyes to close, arms are at the sides, palms facing up if you're on the back. Drawing the shoulder blades into the chest. Letting the heart space be light and buoyant. Here to consciously scan your body, relaxing every muscle group from head to toe, noticing where you're gripping, where you're holding, and making that effort to release. Shavasana. welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. To transition, just bringing awareness to the breath, flowing freely. Each breath a purpose. Bringing some gentle movement to fingers and toes. Maybe rocking the head gently side to side. Feels right, you can take a full body stretch. To take the legs off the blocks if you have them. Place a bend into the knees. Transitioning into a fetal position on either side. And just noticing the effects of the practice. And just having this mindset of svadhyaya, that self-observation, that self-study, each and every day. And before going to bed every night, just asking yourself, what did I learn about myself today? What did I appreciate? And maybe what do I want to change? Observation and awareness are the first steps toward change. Ever so gently using the strength of the arms to make your way into a comfortable seat. Once you find that comfortable seat, allowing the hands to come into heart center for a few breaths. Taking a moment to fully integrate our practice. Allowing our mind, our body, and spirit to always listen and receive. It's always a true honor and a pleasure to guide you through your practice. Thank you for sharing your beautiful presence with me. From the light within me, I honor and respect the light within you. Walk in grace and peace and shine bright, my friend. Much love and namaste. Thank you so much for joining me today. You can stay connected with me on my website, loveserveinspire.com.